What is up, comic fan? Welcome to the Legion of Comics. I'm Mark, and it is Sunday night. That means this is at Week's End, the spoiler-filled look back at this week in comics and pop culture and so much more. There's some really fun stuff to talk about, from news to the holiday special of Guardians of the Galaxy, as well as new comic book day spoilers. So let's get into all that right after this. Let's go ahead and bring in the panel, my homies, the co-hostess with the mostest. Like I said before, the man from the country next door known as Texas. Ryan, what's up, man?
Proper emphasis there. Emphasis.
Yes. Right, emphasis on the right syllable. Let's go ahead and bring in Mr. Paul Cook, hailing all the way from Sector 2815. He had to take 3 black holes, and he took a wrong turn at Saturn, so that's why we're running just a couple minutes late, but he has arrived. How are you doing tonight?
I am well. My Google Maps screwed me over coming from sector to sector.
That happens. It happens.
It did not list the construction.
They're repairing the rings.
Yeah, exactly.
Paul, I gotta ask, is that a new shirt?
It is.
Dude, that's fire.
Ooh, nice.
Nice.
Old school Batman logo. I don't recall where I got this one. I think maybe 80s tees.
Yeah, dude, I see that ad for that shop. They've got some awesome RoboCop stuff on there. I see it. I'm like, dude, I need a RoboCop shirt. Well, let's say hey to some of the people in the chat, and we'll get rocking and rolling tonight. Of course, Ryan hit everyone with a sup. Yeah, look at us. We're the first 3 in there. Very cool.
Nice.
What are you doing? Luke Skywalker was a nice cameo in Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. Yes, and I will definitely be talking about that because I have a curious one. I want to know what everyone else thinks who might have been drinking in that cameo. Brian LCS, hello, good sir. And Brian's award stuff, the CBC awards that Brian puts on, that's coming up. The award show is coming up. I don't remember the date. I just remember I saw a post where it's coming up soon. So be sure to check out Brian. He puts a lot of work into that and tries to do something fun for the community. And this channel is nominated for numerous awards on there as well. So I don't, what is it called when you like try to get people to vote for you?
Campaigning?
Yeah, I don't do any
campaigning. December 3rd.
Saturday, December 3rd is when it is. I don't do any campaigning for it, but I do want to say thank you to anybody that thought of this channel when they thought to do those voting and stuff. It's really nice of y'all.
I certainly didn't. We
are Legion AF. Thanks a lot, Ryan. You're a staple of this channel. Support it. That's amazing.
I saw the list. I was like, I don't even know what channel that is.
Yeah. But it's also, that's another cool thing about it is I went and checked it out, and I voted and supported Brian and everything. And I was able to find some other channels that I wasn't familiar with. Most interesting is the favorite unknown channel, which in itself is an oxymoron. There'd literally be no one on that list, but I voted for Brother John's comics on there because I know Brother John. He's awesome. I love debating with him. He's a great guy. And I checked out some of the other ones on there that I'd never heard of. So now that they're known, none of them can technically be winners.
There you go.
DJ
they're all losers.
Yeah,
a whole lot of them. They're all losers.
DJ Links is one of those custom emojis that you get for joining the channel membership. So if you haven't done that, consider doing that. This month's giveaway is huge, and next Sunday will be the live drawing for the November Legion loot. And in a little bit here, if y'all want to, we can go over and show those books again. I've showed them a few times and did a video on it, but I'm really excited about it. Trev, the shipping guru, is up in here. What is happening? Let's go, Legionnaires. What is happening, Pops? Dr. Van Hoot, how are you doing tonight? Evening to you. Noggins is up in the building. Last week's new DC Day winner right there. So I'll be hitting the post office, getting your book out this Tuesday. Appreciate you. El Green Machine in the building. What is happening? Dale dropped a video today, unboxed a really cool book. Good evening to you, Dale. Paul Rogers in the chat. I feel like I haven't seen Paul in forever. I normally go to the shop at least twice a week. And due to the holidays, I haven't been since Tuesday. So yeah. There he is. Speaking of the devil, and the devil will appear. Brother John's comic. How are you doing tonight, good sir? I love the way they made the GoBots canon to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Dude, that was amazing. And I can't wait to talk about some of this. This Saturday, December 3rd. There it is. Saturday, December 3rd. What day is it? Roland, what is happening? How are you doing tonight? Wow, Ryan. I'm sure that's about your out and vote comment. Read the
Who would
first
vote for those degenerates?
the day after you bigged it up last night. Good stuff. Yes. And to that book's credit, that's actually what I got Ryan to read. Ryan was not a heavy DC reader. He was primarily, when I met him, reading books like none of us find in comic stores even. It was all like not saying that jokingly, like to your credit though, you were like supporting a lot of Kickstarters and crowdfunded projects and stuff like that. You had countless creators that their books weren't even made yet, reaching out to you, sending you PDFs of it so that you can review it and help get the word out. But I talked Superman to Ryan, and I recommended All-Star Superman along with a couple of other people he heard mentioned and talking about Superman, saying All-Star. All-Star. If you're not a Superman fan or you haven't had experience, check All-Star Superman out. You get an actual idea of who that character is in the best way possible in the shortest time span.
It is the quintessential Superman story.
It is. And that artwork in it, my God. Frank Quietly is like perfect for the tone of that story.
Yeah. Very soft, very quiet, very like understated, just like Superman.
Shop for Comics, what is happening? What's up, all? Just caught the GOG special, but really impressed with it. Yes, huge trophy from me for that special. It quite possibly, we're going to rate Phase 4 tonight, or at least this year's Marvel films, whatever. There's not many. I mean, I thought about the other day, but I would love to put these in order and hear other people's take on it. But yeah, hello to everybody. Norin Rad, there he goes, coming in right at the tail end there. How are you doing tonight, my friend? So thank you to everybody popping in. Be sure to check out the sponsors, Big Time Collectibles. If you need anything Cleaner Press, Justin, the links are in the description. Promo code, let them know you found them through the channel. Get that buy two, get one free special offer. Tell all your loved ones to buy you some grading services for Christmas, and then hit up Justin, and you can send them to him straight to the grading service and right back to you. Tricky Trapster, what is happening? Dude, I opened that package you sent. That art is even cooler in hand. The video's recorded. It's in the queue. It'll be coming out soon. I'm very excited to have it, dude. Gorgeous. And thank you for the throw-ins as well. Like, I was not expecting that. I showed Ryan. No, I showed Paul. I showed one of y'all. I might show both of y'all. I don't know. Yeah, I think I did show both of y'all. It was amazing. But yeah, so let's kick it off. Let's start with Guardians. It made the thumbnail tonight. Like, for everyone who thinks that I'm just a biased DC shill or Marvel hater, couldn't be more wrong. I love giving these films and these shows credit where credit's due, and they have absolutely earned it this week. So what did y'all think? Go ahead and take it away. I've been talking for 7 minutes straight now.
I loved it. I thought it hit all the right notes for to be included within the Marvel cinematic universe. It advanced the story, but it also was good on a Christmas level. If you just get something for a Christmas story, it also hit on a Christmas special. There were lots of different things that occurred throughout. One thing I didn't know, but I found out today, was that we'll just go with the big spoiler that Mantis and Quill are brother and sister.
Yeah,
but I didn't realize that was actually a deleted scene from the second movie that they never put in there, and so he used it here so that he wouldn't have to use it in the third movie instead.
This was a perfect place to do it. Think that it delivered perfectly for the point of this whole special. Ryan, what did you think?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. For me, like, I watched it with the kids, and it was just like awesome. Well, I'm probably going to get like way too broad here, but there's this video game called Broforce. Are y'all familiar with this?
Who isn't?
Okay, so Broforce is a video game where it's basically what's the Expendables, right? You've seen the Expendables?
Yeah, I know the Expendables. I love the Expendables.
Yeah, it's basically that without the plot. It's just a side scroller like shooter, but all the characters are like 80s action star characters and some 90s action stars. They have like Keanu from The Matrix and Blade in there, But we got this on sale for like 99 cents or something. So me and my 14-year-old, we've been playing it. And like every time they introduce another character, I'm just like, do you know who this is? He's like, no. I'm like, oh my God, like I have failed myself, And so then but it's like all these 80s references and stuff that he's just completely missing. you know. So then we watch Guardians of the Galaxy, right? And it's just like chock full of all this like 80s and like early 90s stuff. And for all of the kids to sit down and watch that and enjoy it immensely, like they had no clue who Kevin Bacon is. They totally know who Kevin Bacon is now, you know? Like all of that stuff, none of it went over their head, but at the same time, but you know, at the same time, they enjoyed it immensely, even though they didn't have like all the context. They were just like, "Oh, this is a really fun movie," and they really enjoyed it. And time-wise, it was just perfect at 40 minutes.
Dude, to see Scott give it,
Wow.
yes,
Wow.
like Scott'll secretly love something and talk trash about it all day. Scott'll trash something if he doesn't like it. Scott just isn't. He doesn't give away his high praise. But dude, that's awesome. I feel the same way.
Who are you, and what have you done with Hoarder's Hide?
Exactly. Somebody else's hide. So yeah, to the point of it, like I love the story itself. You know, we place the Guardians right at the beginning. They're at nowhere. We learn right off the bat that they have purchased nowhere from the collector. So they have this whole base of operations, collectors, who knows where, but we get to keep this giant celestial head as a location. They have a home, you know, because we haven't really seen them set up a home anywhere. We've seen them traveling around, running from their homes, like running from the law, but they actually have somewhere now. So that's huge for like the development of these characters. And I can't really speak to their appearance in Thor: Love and Thunder, as I skipped that trash ass attempt at a Thor movie altogether. But I don't assume like they set up shop in that movie, because from the trailers they just look like they're bouncing around fighting or just doing a montage. But they had that, and then we also learned, like you said, that Mantis is Peter's sister.
Mm-hmm.
We also get a look at their new ship. We don't have Gamora there. We see Groot aged up for the first time in a while. You know, in real time, it's been a while. And it was cool. I couldn't honestly tell you if that was CG effects or a man in a suit. It looked like a man in a suit to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really hard to tell whenever he was like in scene with people.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things that I loved is how it kicked off with that flashback cartoon, because the cartoon, the way it was animated, and Paul, go ahead. I see you thinking something.
Yeah, I was going to say, to me, there were so many different things that it pulled in. That to me was kind of like a Grinch Who Stole Christmas aspect of it, right? Because, you know, he hated Christmas at the beginning, then he got a gift from somebody, right? And now suddenly, you know, he's like... So there was so many different things that got pulled in, and I liked the fact that it separated. It made it visually different from the rest of the story, because I think that was important to what he was trying to say as well.
And the way the animation style was, it felt very 60s, 70s stuff as well, like intentionally. And I love that flashback. You had Kraglin telling the story, which we get Kraglin. We know that he's still trying to figure out how to use the fin. He hasn't got the Yaka arrow down pat yet, but we get him giving the story about why Quill's bummed at Christmas and everything. And it showed a story of him and Kraglin building a tree and getting some presents ready. And Yondu comes in and just pitches a fit, kicks the tree over. Like, that's sentiment. We won't do none of that. It makes you soft and it'll get you killed out here. And he just trashes their plans and everything. But dude, the way that they turned it at the end was phenomenal. But knowing that Peter had Christmas ruined and he's sad because of it, Drax and Mantis set out to make Christmas amazing. So they come up with this plan to get him what they know he loves. Kevin Bacon himself. They set out to kidnap Kevin Bacon on Earth, which, dude, that I just grinned. I didn't know what the story was in this going into it, because I don't pay too much attention. I did what Ryan did. I didn't even know it was coming out Friday till Friday.
Yeah.
But dude, that whole concept is awesome. There's a callback to even the very first Guardians movie. And they reference it. Peter saved the galaxy, like you saved a town with dancing. I'm like, dude, right. Yes. But it was delightful. And, that was probably one of the coolest parts is when they set off. We get that ship. I don't know if that's their new ship, if that's the Guardian ship, or if that was just for the special. But that thing was wicked cool.
Yeah.
Right. And how meta was that when they started? Where they find out that Kevin is just an actor, and they're like, actors are just.
You could feel how revolted they truly were.
Yeah.
Did y'all hear the music that was playing when they took off to head to Earth? It was the music from Saturday Night Live, the reoccurring skit that Chris Kattan and Horatio Sands would do, where they're just there with the guitar, just bouncing. It was that song, which I thought was awesome. That was like from my era of Saturday Night Live. But dude, it was hilarious. My girls and I watched the Baby Groot shorts too and loved them. I haven't watched those yet.
Yeah, my
but it was cool. They
4-year-old
get to
really
Earth.
enjoyed those.
They get to Earth. They land in L.A. and they set off to find Kevin Bacon with no clue how to find him. They're walking down. Then is it Hollywood Boulevard or something where everyone dresses up in the cosplay?
Yeah,
I'm
it's
never even close to
California. It's like right
so-
outside the Grauman Chinese Theater where the Hollywood Walk of Fame is, basically.
Yeah, so they're walking through there, and people start looking at them and taking pictures of them like they're cosplayers. But probably my new favorite joke in the entirety of the MCU occurs, and you see one of the guys that's cosplaying as a GoBot, and Drax squares up to go fight him. And it's like, no, GoBot's killed his cousin, and I lost it. I'm like, no, what? It was absolutely hilarious. Death to GoBots. Mantis was turned in this. They really brought it a lot of like character development to her, a lot of personality to her that we haven't seen yet. But there was tons of funny moments. They get to Kevin Bacon's house.
The scene whenever she's like leaping and chasing Kevin Bacon through the house, and like they're doing like the POV shots of her chasing him, like some of the best horror movie stuff I've seen in years. Like she was legit frightening with that candy cane just like leaping from one to the other. I was like, oh my god,
yeah,
this is insane.
Is it a candy cane or is it a person?
Oh my god, yeah. So they're scoop those stuff. Oh, I love this little man, this little goofy
this
man.
funny little man.
Yeah, this funny little man. That was it. God. Yeah, then they had the argument. They come out of the house. Wait, we have to go back. Why? He's getting away. I left my funny little man. So, well, you can keep your red man. This isn't a man. What makes you?
But then later she asked somebody else, "Is this a person?"
The cops while they're upside down. Does that look like a person to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we're even.
Yeah. He said, "Well, what is it?" I don't know.
No, this is where it's like, you love Peter, right? You want to give him Christmas. Well, we can't go back. So, Peter or the funny little man? He's like,
Funny little man.
Funny little man?
Yeah.
But it was cool. And like when they finally get him, like they have a whole fight with the police, throw over cars, beat the hell out of them. Like there's no way Mantis will be allowed on Earth after this because she did the whole theft by deception with the map. She robbed the map lady. They broke and enter, felony destruction of property, assaulting police officers, resisting arrest, felony destruction of government vehicles. You know, they kidnapping. They did like all of them.
How am I supposed to know the rules if nobody tells me them?
You can find love here if anyone's looking for it. You can find love right there in the chat. Christmas miracle. If you've been loveless, it has been found for you. Congrats to everybody. You are loved. Yeah, they got wasted in the bar, lost all the money.
Yeah.
But it was wild. It was really funny. The whole I thought it was super cool how cool Kevin Bacon was because they finally get him back. They find out that he's not this hero of Earth, that he's just an actor, and they're repulsed by actors. They're just things on the planet. So she
like, oh my god, he's an actor.
They brainwipe him into wanting to be there and playing along, and they Peter unboxes him and everything, and he immediately flips. He's obviously the only one there with sense in the situation.
It's not a gift; it's human trafficking.
Yeah, I thought it was cool how Kevin Bacon responded like appropriately when they cleared his mind. He freaked out, and he was heading home, talking to Kraglin and everything, and he gets a call from his wife, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm gonna be late. I got some friends that need help with Christmas." And I thought that was dope that he agreed willingly to go back and do the thing. But the ending is what really got me. It just completely put the entire special over. It was fun from start to finish, but at the end, when it's explained to Peter why they did this and how Kraglin told him about how Yondu ruined Christmas for him, he just kind of chuckles. He's like, Kraglin don't know how that story ended. And it cuts back to the animation from the beginning. And you see Yondu walk back in the room with the Christmas tree and the presents and picks him up and looks at him. And then it cuts to Peter walking into his room with a gift sitting there for Peter. And he opens it up, and it's his blasters that we've seen him carrying from day one. The opening scene of the first Guardians, those blasters were a gift from Yondu to Peter when he looked like a young teenager's age. And then it cuts to Yondu, and he got the gift that Peter gave him, and he opens it up, and it's his first hood decoration that he keeps on his console. And that's how it started, which call back to Guardians and everything. The troll that was in there, like when you first see him on Xandar, like making jokes, can't focus because he's looking at hood ornament potential. Like it was absolutely amazing. Like Yondu is easily the greatest father in the entire MCU.
No doubt.
Like he won't let the crew see him soft. He won't let the crew do this or that, but he won't let that boy down. That's his son. Like he sees him no other way. He will not let that kid down.
It's about as 80s father as it gets, right?
Yeah, Cosmo was a great addition, the little dog. So there were some cameos in there, and I caught a couple, to be honest with you guys, and I forgot what the first one was, but Mark Hamill had a little quick cameo in there, drinking a bottle with a beard, looking like a hobo. But all I could picture was him milking those ridiculous things.
Green milk.
Chugging that green milk. Oh, yeah, the Christmas song in the beginning was outrageous. They played their telephone game to figure out what Christmas is, then wrote a song.
Which was amazing because, Peter Quill's response at the end of it, you just got the weapon or you just got the instruments?
Just got
the just went all through the whole song. I was like, didn't he just say they just got these instruments? Like, we've been messing around with them. We came up with something that we think kind of explains it.
Yeah, so far off. It started strong. What was that say? Kingo from Eternals on a poster was cool. I don't think I saw that. I don't even know what that is.
No.
But James
watched that movie harder than I did.
One of the things I was really concerned about was like knowing the tone and the style of Guardians, which I love the Guardians movies, but them being so successful and so well received, they kind of like, I think that's what really set Marvel down the dark path of making everything over campy and goofy, because they wanted to make everything like Guardians instead of letting it be its own thing, letting it be special or unique. And I was kind of worried that I might be kind of tired of it or the jokes wouldn't land this or that, but absolutely nailed the landing. I think I just kind of like pushed the rest of the MCU stuff back. Like it doesn't stay with me. So it's just watching them upset, but this was fantastic. And me personally, if I had to line up the MCU films from this year, counting these specials, I would put this at the top for like it was just so well rounded. There was plot holes in it. There was goofy stuff like Mantis had to be thrown over the fence, but then she could jump over them later. I say it all the time, plot holes, little things like that don't hurt a film if the story has you invested. You see it happening and you just continue having fun. It was good. But I'd put this up there at number 1 for me. Werewolf by Night right behind it. I would probably put Multiverse of Madness, then Wakanda Forever, and then I have to put Thor last because I haven't watched it because it's so bad, I'm sure. I don't know how y'all's year would stack.
I think the same thing. I mean, the two things that I were the most impressed with this year with Marvel were the 2 specials that they did. So I would agree with that.
Out of that whole list, I've only seen Wakanda Forever and the Guardians special. So I think my list makes itself. No, I still haven't seen it.
This makes itself.
Now you got to wait till next Halloween.
Right?
Wait. Yeah, dude, it's definitely worth the watch. You'd love it. Only thing that confused me was the ending. You're led to believe that Yondu never did anything redeeming until he sacrificed himself at the end of Guardians 2.
2 comments below that.
But yet there was this Christmas miracle that Peter forgot about, apparently. No, Peter knew Yondu was soft because Peter knew about this stuff. That's why he did things like in the first Guardians, like when he kept the stone and put the troll in it, and Yondu sees it, and his reaction is just he kind of laughs. He's not even frustrated. Like Peter and Yondu, it kind of adds context to that long-standing back and forth, heartwarming, fun story. It made Scott's heart grow 3 times bigger. Yes.
That's a medical miracle. They still hear messaging.
Yeah, Howard the Duck should have been with Cosmo. Yeah, like in the first Guardians. One of the top show movies of Phase 4. I agree. I think all of Phase 4 was this year except for Spider-Man, right? And Shang-Chi.
There's 2 movies I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, those came out last year. Yeah, I would put Spider-Man like way up on this list for all of Phase 4. Like that was a blast. Like
It was in the
that's
top
probably
3.
yeah. You just have to like figure out what mood I'm in, kind of thing. Because I'll be honest with you, I've tried to rewatch it, and it doesn't really have. It lost a lot of the pizzazz because it is a fan service film kind of thing.
Fan service and nostalgia only takes you so far.
Yeah, but dude, that Andrew Garfield catch, limitless. That'll take me to that moment every time, no matter what. You okay? I'm like, oh my god, my eyes are bleeding. That's just insane.
I'm like, I'm not crying, you're crying.
Yeah. Yeah, I think possibly Werewolf squeaks into the number 1 for me, but Guardians is very close number 2. Yeah, I think that's one of those things. Like, you got it when you catch me. It's Christmas time. I am an absolute sucker for Christmas. I've been hanging out with Santa Claus today, no BS. Put up Christmas lights. They would have been up weeks ago, but I had to buy new clips for them and everything. But I think that helped lend to it. I absolutely love that Werewolf by Night special. It's been my number 1 of the year since it dropped. But yeah. So what else? The gun range. What's going on with James Gunn this week? The gun range, because this man is an open book about where he's at, what he's doing. He's keeping an open line of communication to the fans, and he put a couple of really cool messages out this week. One of which being he was reminding people that he is not in charge or associated with the comic books at all. He is strictly involved in the film and television aspect of DC Comics, and he hopes that what he does will draw more people to the books and vice versa, which I thought was awesome, fantastic to hear. That is a slight difference from the Marvel method, so that's in my opinion great news for the books. Thoughts?
Agreed. I don't think that the movies shouldn't be beholden to what happens in the books and vice versa. They're totally 2 different media.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's like any way to really connect the 2 properly and make it really worth anybody's time. But I will say, like, rewatching Black Adam this last week, and I thought this when I saw it the first time, but it definitely, like, rewatching it the second time and not taking in everything new, like, you still have the moment where, like, he gets knocked down off the skateboard and, like, all the comics, and you go in his room and, like, he's a fanboy. And I think that's one thing that's, like, truly different about, like, the MCU versus what DC does with their movies, where, like, comics are present and people are fanboys of these characters, whereas, like, in the MCU, sometimes they put, like, fans of the characters, but, like, they don't really feel like superheroes or, like, comic book characters the way they do in DC films. So I definitely hope we don't lose that, because I think that's, like, a huge differentiator that really, like, especially for kids watching those movies, is like, oh yeah, like, there's comic books too, and, like, you can be excited about that as well, So I hope we don't lose that, but I don't think it needs to be connected.
I think the last time I saw that was with Logan, with X-23 was carrying around the X-Men books, and that's where she got the idea for Safe Haven. That's the last one I can remember just right off the top of my head. I thought this post was kind of interesting because it, like I mentioned, it's a little bit different than the Marvel method, because it's been a while now that Feige was in an interview talking about the state of Marvel Comics, and I can't remember who else was in that conversation at the time. I'd have to go back and look. But they were talking about the actual comic books themselves and the goals of the comic books at that point in time, and it is still till now, because somebody mentioned it at a con recently here. The Marvel Comics
commented on it recently.
That's who it is. CB Cebulski. Yeah, they're just using the Marvel Comics as a proving ground of proof of concept for the MCU movies. Like, they're not looking at their comic line of what should we do to protect, enrich, and develop the comics. They're looking at the comics like, write this story, send it out. Let's see what people think. Yeah, like, what can we turn into
for this weird element?
Yeah, they burned 60 years of stories in under 10 years, and now they're having to use the people that buy comic books as
Yeah,
guinea
that was my
pigs.
big beef with Sobolski's comment. You know, his was they asked like if the movies, like if the MCU and the movies and stuff works with Marvel publishing on comics, and
10 years ahead.
his basic response is like, well, we're writing comics 10 years ahead of the MCU at this point. It's like you're absolutely not. It took you 60 years to create all the content they burned through in 10 years, but now you're writing 10 years ahead of them. That doesn't even add up. That's bad math. I'm not even good at it.
Mom, you said you have these? That's a good point, Paul, because in Eternals, there's at least 3 DC references, I believe.
Well, my 14-year-old pointed it out, you know, in the Guardians of the Galaxy special, they're talking about Batman and stuff.
That's right.
Like,
Who's
Batman
that?
exists. Yeah, Batman exists in
They,
the
they, they said
MCU.
Batman, he's like, who's that? That's awesome. Yeah. But yeah, and the other post I thought was really cool, and now I can't remember what it was. It was it was in reference of the connectability of what they're going to be doing moving forward, and he said that they're looking at bridging and connecting movies, films, and animation, and that did not excite me, to be honest with you guys. I don't want to see DC turn into Marvel. I think Marvel's fine being Marvel if they get their stories on track, but it's too big of an undertaking for the medium, I think, is what we're finding out.
mm-hmm.
It's just too much. I don't want to see this oversaturated. I get excited for all of these all the time, and I don't want to stop that.
Yeah, I would definitely, you know, I'm excited to see like HBO versus the CW as far as like TV quality and stuff. But at the end of the day, like these 3 things do not need to be connected. I think their animation field is like far and beyond what other comic book animation's doing for the most part. So like let the righted ship stay righted and not like try to connect it. Don't need that. And then as far as like TV and movies, like, you know, we have seen a lot of like big name actors start doing these series and stuff on streaming platforms. So it's not unrealistic to see like a major actor from a film do something on HBO these days. But to get them to commit to a TV project seems kind of weird. And I just don't see the quality transferring well. I think your best case scenario is something like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where like things in the movies affect this, but this does not affect the movies, you know. That's about the best you're going to get as far as connectivity across all of that.
And I also think, I mean, in a lot of ways, it's, you know, there is, you know, the amount of time that passes between movies and between series and things like that. To me, it's, you know, to have one be beholden to the other, to me, doesn't really make a lot of sense in a lot of ways. Yeah, they can certainly reference each other and things like that, but I think with Flashpoint, I think maybe what he's getting at is that, yeah, everything will matter and everything will connect in some way, but I don't see it really necessarily being, okay, you know what? If you want to know what happens between Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Guardians of the Galaxy 3, you have to watch the holiday special type thing. I don't picture him doing that type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think there's like a super loose connectivity that has to be made, or else you're just going to get into like way too thick of a plot hole, you know?
This is not true, unfortunately, anymore. The parks are in shambles. Their animation line is in shambles. They just had the 5th and a big budget, multi-million-dollar, $200 million animated movie flop. All their Disney shows are tanking in views, and they're not bringing in any subscribers. They made a $300 million Thor movie that didn't bring them any profit this year. So no, Disney is not a money-making machine. Marvel's not a money-making machine. They can be. They should be. There's no reason they shouldn't be, but they haven't been for about a year and a half consistent now. But hopefully they'll get it back on track. I want to see some good quality content coming. I don't want to see it go away.
And they even say that Chapek was doing some
rules with his iron pounding.
Chapek was doing some what's the word I can think of?
Manipulation.
Some inventive accounting at Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Who was doing that?
Chapek.
Apparently, what they say he was doing, and again, this is just, but that he was claiming that Disney Plus will be turning a profit by like 2024. But what he was doing is some of the shows that were on Disney Plus, he would allow some episodes to show up on other networks, and by doing that, he was then transferring some of those expenses over to those networks instead to make Disney Plus look as though it was better than it really was.
Yeah. Well, essentially, he was putting the budgets on other platforms. So he's saying this whole show's budget goes to like Disney Channel,
right?
But it was really a Disney Plus show. So like all of your money's just like bouncing around. It was like an Enron situation.
Right.
That was a productive company for a little while. And to tell you, this is actually something that this is why Taika Waititi was fired immediately after the final release. After that movie ran out of its steam, Thor: Love and Thunder was a $350 million budget movie for the filming of it. It brought in just a little bit over $700 million and still didn't turn a profit because of the other aspects of it, like the theater gate percentage, the percentage deals with the actors involved, as well as the separate merchandising that went into it, advertising that went into it. So
advertising and marketing.
It actually made less than $1,200 if you assume that the theater gate only took in 40%, which Disney themselves have been public about, saying that the theater typically takes 54%. Knowing that, Thor: Love and Thunder made $700+ million and Disney didn't get no money for it. That's why Chapek is fired. That's why Marvel's not profitable right now. Because like you would think they are from what they tell you, but when you actually go in and look at it, like they said, that creative accounting that's literally why.
Typically, films, again, this is not a blanket statement, but typically films need to make 2.5 to 3 times their budget in order to actually show up
within the first 2 weeks.
You don't have to send me. I'm more than well versed on the questionable success of Thor: Love and Thunder. I've actually had this conversation and went into this before.
The CFO was actually ringing the alarm on all this. That's where they were at. That's why it got caught.
Yeah. But yeah, the She-Hulk, the worst views they got yet from any Disney Plus release. That was their most recent outing, Wakanda Forever had a 67% drop from week 1 to 2. It's just it's just not looking good for the medium in general right now. Their animation lines are doing the same thing. It's not just them. It's not just Disney's that's seeing this at all. But when you have a company that had a model set on this not happening, really banking big and investing big into this stuff, they needed to see those billion-dollar movie returns. They needed to tone in their budget.
Yeah, and they still only have like a third of the subscribers of Netflix. So planned growth, and well, I don't know, because really the pandemic should have helped subscriber growth on that front. But they only have something around like a third of the subscribers that Netflix has. So that's tough. I wish Netflix would get their animation game together and do a little bit better in that arena. But at the end of the day, like Disney's struggling to get subscribers at this point.
I'll be happy to send you the link instead of breaking it all down and trying to go into the movie analytics that I myself cannot sit there and break down and convey in all that detail. But it's box office percentages, the actual deals with the that 250. That's a filming budget. That has nothing to do with the stuff outside of that, which
advertising.
Yeah, that's not with the advertising package. They did a double push on the advertising on that movie, and then they had the box office gate is what killed them from actually pulling a profit. If that box office gate wasn't a thing, that would have been 100% of whatever profit they made would have come from that percentage loss to the theaters.
Yeah. Typically, your marketing budget is like basically the same, if not more, than your filming budget.
Yeah, I think this is a huge thing to do with it. In all sincerity, is just the nature of the economy right now. You know what I'm saying? Think about that. Wakanda Forever had 2 holiday weekends in its release so far. They released on the holiday weekend, and we just came through a holiday weekend. And that movie should have hit $1 billion, all things considered.
Yeah, like I don't disagree with that. I do think that part of Disney's problem right now is just where the economy and everything is right now. But if you look at a lot of the things that they're criticizing Chapek for doing, like it doesn't even make any sense. He increased the cost of going to a Disney park. He took away a lot of the perks of going to a Disney park. He changed a lot of the rules and regulations around perks that he didn't take away. He took away a lot of extra benefits and a lot of the silver lining that was actually having people go to the park. So he cut the amount of people that were going to the park by increasing the price and taking away all the stuff you got with it. If you're worried about a depression and the economy and getting people through the gates and keeping them happy and keeping them loyal, you don't increase the price and take away perks.
And then the other thing is in this world of streaming and everything, you have got to go beyond just the comic book fans who are gonna go see the movie in the theater. Okay, you need people. You need the other people who maybe are casual comic fans or just movie fans to go as well. And if they know that I'm gonna be able to see the movie within 60 days streaming instead, I may not go. I'll just wait till you put it on Disney Plus for me.
Now I hear people say that all the time. I'm just going to wait for it to hit HBO Max. Just going to wait for it to hit Disney Plus. And that's something that we learned from the lockdown. That's what it taught us, that we were more patient than we thought we were. I think if really they changed their man, I know everybody's favorite number is more when it comes to these corporations. But if you go back and you look at like the early successes of the MCU, and then even other films before the MCU that DC was doing that were successful, look at that. Look at how much they brought in. What was a successful hit? You're looking at $4 to $8 million releases were hits for them because their budget was manageable. These movies don't look that much different. Like less CG. Is it just CGI that's running up the bill on these things? Because they're so loaded with CGI. Like I'd assume that all that practical effects has to be harder, more difficult, more expensive. But if they would just tone down the budget, I don't think it would affect the quality of the films at all.
No. No. If they would lean on like stronger acting and stronger storytelling, they would probably be able to hit it. The problem is they lean so much on the jokes. Like if it's funny, then everybody's going to be in love with it anyway.
That just brings me straight over to Quentin Tarantino's interview from this week, where he made that statement that people started resharing out like, "Oh, this is crazy. What do you think?" It was absolutely factual. Quentin Tarantino said that the Marvel movies have absolutely ruined like the classic sense of movies and movie stars. There are not movie stars anymore. There's so few. Like you used to go, like if Johnny Depp was doing a movie 15 years ago, you would go. If Tom Cruise was, if Brad Pitt was, there were certain actors and actresses that you went to see them perform. You knew that they're only attached to projects that you're guaranteed to enjoy. Now you don't have those anymore. No one's lining up to see the next Chris Evans film because he's in it. No one's lining up to see the next Letitia Wright film because she's in it. People want to go see the characters they're playing. They're not movie stars. They're just random people playing a character that people are invested in. And that lit up the internet a little bit. But I think it's absolutely factual, 100%.
I mean, you think about it, like what were people more concerned about with the new Black Panther movie? Were they going to have another Black Panther was the bigger question than who it was going to be. Nobody cared who was going to play the new Black Panther. They just wanted to know if we were going to get one in the movie. Once that question was solved, everybody's like, oh, okay, well, we'll find out when we get there. So they didn't care what actor was playing the Black Panther nearly as much as if there was one.
Yeah, I think Taylor hit a good nail on the head. There's reshoots, getting people back, paying them to come back and do all that. That's gotta, if they would do it right the first time.
Yeah, CGIing people's mustaches out. That costs money.
Yes. This comment here, too.
Yeah.
Like, movies have gotten... Like, there was so much stuff in Wakanda Forever that just had no business being there. All the stuff with all the stuff in America, gone. Cut it all out. You got a better movie, and you don't have a bunch of extra wasted budget. Do we need a whole nother CGI armor flying around in that movie? No.
No, we had plenty.
Yeah, there was plenty of that stuff. Why do we need one more?
Because she's going to have her own Disney Plus show.
Exactly.
Again,
Agatha,
like, she could have been
Echo.
Yeah.
Y'all wonder, like, it blows my mind. Marvel's not messing up. There's an Agatha show coming.
Mm-hmm.
There's an Echo show coming.
See, and that's the thing that I kind of like told you about too. Like, I think Disney really shot themselves in the foot with something like She-Hulk by having it be the only thing for Marvel and comic book fans to watch. Like, if you look at who was enjoying that show, it was like people that generally don't read comics, like, 30 plus working females. They were really into that show. And then everybody else that was watching it was not that demographic and didn't like it. But if they had something for those people to watch, the odds of them watching She-Hulk and trashing it wouldn't have happened. And therefore, like, the show itself probably would have done better because there wouldn't have been nearly as much negative press. But whenever you leave the door open for this kind of fan base to only have this one thing to watch at that time, it's really going to hurt the overall impression that the public gets of it, because every article that pops up on Google when they open the browser is like, oh yeah, people are mad about She-Hulk because of this and that and that and that, It's like, no, there was a demographic for it. You just didn't have anything for everybody else to watch.
In She-Hulk's defense, the creatives of that show did come out and say they intentionally fished for that response so that they can make fun of those people. So those are probably the dumbest creatives of a television show that have ever existed, to come up with a concept to try to goat the fan base into having an angry response at your show just so you can take shots at them. That is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life in terms of comics, regular books, movies, TV shows. Like, what type of idiot sets out for that to be their goal with their show? That's insane. And that's what the damn director and writer said themselves that they were doing. Like, I'm not making that. That's like, these are all interviews that are on YouTube. Just look up the name of the director and then search her name in YouTube, and you'll see interviews where they're laughing about doing it, and how the comic fans that liked She-Hulk that might have thought that this is ridiculous is you were their target, not their target audience, their target. Like, you're bullying a fandom that literally until 10 years ago probably got bullied about this stuff. Like I took comics to school growing up my whole life. I wore Batman shirts even in high school and stuff when this stuff wasn't cool. There was always people that would like, is that a Batman shirt? Like, yeah. Like now it's like mainstream and cool. Now you have a show that's coming out trying to make fun of those people again. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You missed your point.
Now people get made fun of if they don't follow comics.
Yeah.
So,
right.
DC's just afraid of making money and success. That's why the only reason I can figure they haven't done Spectre yet. Yeah, I'm with Scott on this. I think that would be a hit. Like in the dark, gritty, R-rated. Give us like a golden age opening and give us the credits and bring us to modern times and just get outrageous with it.
I don't think we mentioned this last week, but maybe we can shift our news tone. James Gunn and The Rock have both kind of confirmed that the JSA is the direction that they want to take the movies in. So I'm hype. Let's do this.
Yeah. I'm hyped that you're hyped because I've been championing them sons of bitches since I've been on YouTube. Like, yeah, the JSA, they're awesome. And Ryan's at this point, God, he's potentially read more JSA than I have at this point. He's been looking in JSA for weeks now.
Yeah, I'm on like issue 26 or something of the Goyer Johns run, and it's freaking phenomenal. Some issues don't necessarily slap, but there's like whole story arcs in there that are just so good, so much better than what we're getting in a lot of other mediums, And
I hope that more movies do that for more people, because this really spawned out of you seeing the film and seeing them, and it's like, I want to know some more about them.
Just a good time to mention that Jeff Johns' JSA #1 comes out this Wednesday or Tuesday.
It does come out this Tuesday or Wednesday. They're the old warriors. Yeah, they're the OGs.
So
Yeah, I
many
think
great characters too.
that. So y'all want to talk and review some books? We almost hit that hour mark, and I have a really small pool week this week. I mentioned to you guys, I think I mentioned it when we were live. I typically go to my LCS twice. I go on Tuesdays and pick up my DC books because I'm off, and then I find time later in the week to run and pick up the rest of my books. But due to the Thanksgiving holiday and the nature of work during holidays, I was only able to get there one time, so I only have my DC books.
Oh,
So I need y'all to help carry it a little bit with the other stuff that y'all might have got. Ryan will BRB.
okay.
So Paul, when does this full review come now? Well, I know Ryan read that one too. Let me see.
Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock.
All right. Well, I'm going to start with one that I know that Ryan didn't read. I read this one today. Sergeant Rock versus the Army of the Dead, number 3 of 6. Are you picking this one, Paul?
I am, but I have not read it yet.
That was a good one. A lot of action in this one. So you know that last issue we see Easy Company kind of find one of the hideouts where they're making the serum to reanimate the dead, and the lead scientist for it. We get a little glimpse of the scientist talking to Hitler, where Hitler and the drugs that they're using isn't enough, so he wants the drug that they've been giving to the dead soldiers, and they warn him. They tell him this has never been used on the living. He didn't care. He said, give it to me anyways. And that's the last we see of him. So I'm having a feeling the next time we see him, it's going to be like Super Zombie Hitler or something. But we get Easy Company getting fitted up with new weaponry, getting upgrades, the upgrades for the time era, which is really fun to see. And they go out and they storm the castle. They take out that supply depot, and then they're off to try to get the scientist who's on the run from him. But it was nonstop. It was action packed. A lot of good violence in it. It is under the DC horror imprint, so it operates like a black label pretty much.
Right.
Yeah.
But
it was fun.
I enjoyed the first 2 issues. I just haven't had a chance to read issue number 3 yet.
Oh, I'm going to order that right now. Yeah, it's really good, man. If you like Sergeant Rock, if you like zombies, if you like good war books, it hits on all that. Murder World Wolverine looks awesome. I'm not sure when that is. That from this week, or is that one that's upcoming? And,
They're doing a whole bunch of Murder World, right? They're doing Spider-Man. They did Avengers, I think, right? The arcade, I think, is the villain in that one. I think.
Oh
Right?
yeah, that's right. I think Chris was talking about that last week, right?
Yeah. Yep. So we want to start with this one then instead.
Boom. This was my pick of the week, my blind pick of the week going in, just on a cover buy. Just because Steve Beach has absolutely won me over with these amazing painted covers from the very first one he did. He even did that gorgeous Swamp Thing foil. But having the Super Family just hanging out up in the air, watching the sunrise, it really is just like a perfect embodiment of what you should feel when you think of the Super Family.
Yes. So we got an upgraded, almost to where he's going to be finally, another upgraded Metallo at the very beginning, courtesy of Lex Luthor, who, even though Metallo does not want to help him, Lex has a way of getting people to help him, by basically putting his John Corbin's sister in a precarious spot where she looks as though she's murdered some people, and so there really was never any doubt that John Corbin was gonna end up working with Lex. But then we get the battle again with Superman and the New Gods.
Yeah, Orion and Calabac, and
Orion and
Desaad is
Calabac.
there somewhere too. He's not brave enough to swing with the big guys though.
And we still don't know exactly how much power Ulgrin has inside of that kid, but that's basically what they're looking for. The New Gods. So I'm thinking that this kid is going to rival a New God by the time he's done, because that would be the only reason I would think that Orion and Calabac would want to take him off the board.
Yeah.
But they basically they end up the kid and Superman end up basically dealing with Orion, and they go away, and they basically say that anything that happens because of this kid is going to be on Superman's conscience.
Including like the destruction of the kid himself from housing the fire of Olgrim inside of him.
Right.
Ryan, what do you think of all that leading up to that? The whole final confrontation with the new gods, the little prelude with Metallo and Luthor.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. I mean, the fight was really cool, right? It was good action stuff, but then the message that Clark delivers after that to the boy, I thought was like really poignant. You know, he talks about like teaching him not just how to use his powers for good, but like how to control his powers. And it was just like another one of those, like Philip Kennedy Johnson, like kind of talking about the virtues of Superman and, you know, what it means to be, you know, everybody always looks at it like, oh, he's all powerful. So like, what's the problem? But like, the truth is like, he's saving us every day by learning to control and manipulate those powers in a way that's safe to like even be on the planet. And so then he wants to take those lessons and teach them to this boy is, you know, just like phenomenal stuff there. I will say like, you know, Philip Kennedy Johnson, he did that interview this week and he was talking about, you know, reminding us that like the fire of Olgrin, like that's 1/7 of the power of a god.
Right.
Therefore, like we're not even seeing like the true potential of what's here. Like as powerful as this boy is, like he's only 1/7 powerful, the power of like what the full magnitude would be. And we also know that Superman is like overpowered right now because of the close exposure to the sun, the yellow sun or whatever. So, you know, like this
Ryan
is
wasn't expecting that. He thought he was still kind of losing it.
yeah. And he's like more powerful than he's been in years and years and years. So yeah, like it's some good stuff. I'm excited to see what happens with the politics of the new gods and everything involving this.
Yeah, the next scene I thought was really awesome and really telling of what we can expect moving forward. Because the next scene in the book, we get Superman flying up to Battle World. It's kind of in orbit around Earth with all the refugees from the War World saga, all the slaves that were freed by Superman and his actions during that storyline, and we kind of get the closure to that. So Superman pretty much shows up and he announces and talks to him and has some real personal moments with him where he explains that we've been working hard. We've got y'all pretty much cataloged and we've located your homeworlds and we're going to be able to get y'all back to them now. And they pretty much get to say their final goodbyes and everything. So we get to put a bow on that.
Yeah, and they scream, you know, they have this this mantra, unblooded sword, you know.
Yeah, it was really cool to see him like go back to War World and kind of like re-rally the troops, I guess, in a way. You know, from everything that happened in War World and you know how he like led that rebellion and everything, and to see him kind of go back and give some closure to that whole thing was really cool.
Yeah, I was wondering because speaking of the politics, like you mentioned, we saw how one of the first things he did when he came back, he had to go address the political leaders of the world because he brought an entire planet with him. And so I'm glad that we're not going to be really. I didn't want to hang out with that too much. You know what I mean? I'm really interested with these kids and these kids' dynamic coming into the super family. And even more now in these last two issues when we see that this power inside of him is not a mystery to the cosmic characters. They know what it is. They know the danger of it, potentially its usefulness for them and everything. There's a lot of story to tell there, as well as the personal touch of bringing these kids into the family. I really, really want to see John Kent play big brother to these kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want that dynamic so bad, but
to me, that's going to be the more exciting dynamic because we know like John Kent knows what loss is. And so I'm excited to see him kind of take that role of like protector and big brother and like kind of intercede, you know, like he feels like his father's too overprotective of him, but that's because of the loss he went through. But then we also know like Kent, you know, John has experienced loss as well. So how is he going to be protective of others, especially knowing that this boy is about the same age as he was when he left, you know? And so like there's so much dynamic in each aspect of that relationship. And then, you know, Philip Kennedy Johnson, he also talked about how excited he is for that relationship because he really wants to see Superman and, you know, Clark Kent as a father figure. And that was kind of lost with the aging up of John Kent. And so now he found a way to basically go back and re-explore that. But we got all those other twists I just mentioned in that dynamic that's going to make it really interesting, even more so than just Clark being a father to John.
And then superimposed on top of all of that, the news that we got this week also that Superman and John will get their secret identities back, and what that will
Yes.
mean to everything.
Yes. Yeah, I forgot about that one. And we thought there wasn't comic news.
Right?
Yeah, I'm pumped for that. I'm not sure how they're going to do it. I'm wondering if the events of the Dark Crisis might have some ramifications, or who knows. We have like that cutting back to Lex Luthor here because it's relevant to what comes next in the book. We cut back to Metallo and Luthor, and we see Metallo make his escape from prison. He kind of has like a Rob Zombie's Michael Myers moment where Michael kills the protector who is his protector in the hospital. Like we have Metallo coming out to the guard and he's like, "You did nothing wrong," as he destroys his entire head to leave,
So not careful if this is just a circumstance.
Yeah, Metallo's out, and we know that Lex Luthor is updating him with his new technology and stuff that he got off of World. It's not a mother box. What was the kind of box?
Orphan box.
The orphan box.
Yeah, that we don't know really what it does or its limits or anything, but Lex is banking on it giving Metallo enough juice to be his weapon against Superman, and then we get our little kicker here. Like I did read Superman and the Authority, which was the prelude to War World, where he takes Manchester Black and he forms a team. For those that don't know, Manchester Black is a villain from the Elite, and he has like mind powers and stuff. And apparently, he was a mole for Lex Luthor the entire time on War World, and Lex is still using him like a puppet. Now it looks like more than before.
Yeah.
So since he has those mind powers, and now he is basically, been screwed by Lex Luthor at the end. How much of a jump would it be that now Manchester Black somehow gives Clark and him their secret identities back, so that Lex won't know who they are in real life?
That's not a bad idea. That's a good little jump.
Yeah, I kind of like that because, with that news, it was also mentioned that it is going to be part of a plot and not just because essentially like the new era of Superman, one thing they wanted to play with is like all of the dynamics and tropes of the Superman legacy, one of those being the secret identity. So they wanted it back, but they didn't want it to be cheesy or superficial and just like, oh, nobody knows who he is again or something. So they did say there is a plot and a storyline that makes it make sense that his identity is restored, so that could be how they pull it off, is that Manchester Black is playing every angle of this story, and he decides to protect everybody else by protecting the identity.
Mm-hmm.
Mole's the mole.
I immediately thought of Mix Piddlix. That might be too easy. Just pop in, boop, done, out.
I thought of Mephisto, but it wouldn't work here.
All stretch.
Small.
What else y'all
Brain
got?
control over mind control. Brainwave can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Look at you. What else y'all got for this week?
I mean, I didn't see all of y'all's books, so I don't know, but I'm pretty sure we read all the same stuff.
I haven't gotten to Detective Comics yet. Y'all want to go and do that one? I'm sorry, Paul.
Oh, just have you?
No, we can do Human Target though. That's cool.
Yeah, I was reaching for it. There we go.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Such a good issue.
Right. Oh, this issue was fire. I just loved that. I was like, I don't know, more Batman. Do we really need him? Is he going to be here? And then, spoiler alert, he's kind of not, but his presence is. And that's what's so amazing about it. It kind of reminds me of Black Adam issue, I think, last week that we had, where it's like, Batman's there, but he's not really there. But it's like this whole like extra layer to everything. And I'm kind of enjoying like what we're getting out of Batman as a guest character lately, just because they're not like directly putting Batman into everybody's books. Like there's some kind of like interesting twist that goes with it all. So this was a ton of fun because it played on like the exact presence and like tropes of Batman, but didn't give it to you the way you expected.
Yeah, Tom King got to write a Batman issue without even having Batman in it. It was great. And it was, and I kept thinking of, what I mean. I could picture Christopher Chance basically saying, just because I'm paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get me. It's like,
Right.
because he basically saw Batman everywhere when Batman was really nowhere. Which is, I mean, I'm sure he's probably not the first person that Batman ever had that effect on, but it was just a great way to play him throughout the entire issue, with basically, the human target coming up with everything that Batman would be doing instead,
Yeah. Yeah.
in his mind.
I think this is the most uncomfortable and out of his element we've seen Christopher through this whole thing.
Yeah.
He had no delusion that Batman is better at him, smarter than him, and everything. And it was cool seeing him uncomfortable for the first time, because even when he's getting beat up, when he's getting drugged through the mud or dropped out of the sky, he seemed like he's always had like this air of control of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like he did it. He had no control in this.
Yeah.
It was wild. And then we had a huge revelation at the end, like when he's kind of just monologuing, which I was, like, dude, that was dope, because there's those outrage channels I talk about that I go over there and try to argue with. They thought that was a travesty that they killed Guy Gardner, and lo and behold, we find out at the end that maybe Batman's not come for me because he's solved this already, and he knows Guy Gardner's not dead. I'm like, what?
What? Yes.
What?
Wait, let me read this whole issue again.
So what I'm thinking is that Chris has nailed it. Ice is the one that did it. He's with her the whole time. Guy and Ice are the closest with each other. You got to get Guy off there and see if she'd be down to do it again. She was just down to commit murder with this man and cover it up. She's guilty. There's no way.
Yeah.
He's down for that. Like, that's it. Cat's out of the bag. It's Ice.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've long suspected her because of everything you referenced. But yeah, I felt like this issue really, like, she's ride or die, and that's the only problem with ride or die is, she has no guilt about what they do together. And so she's always willing to do whatever it takes to, like, get wherever the person she loves needs to go, So she kind of reminds me of a Harley Quinn in that sense,
We got a new channel member. Boom,
Woohoo.
Dr. Van Hoot.
Welcome.
Welcome to the Legion. Doc, hit me up on IG. I got a welcome pack that I send out to the members with cool swag and stuff in there and everything. So definitely hit me up on IG, my friend, if you haven't followed me already. That's just the only place I really know to message with people. I'd love to get you a little welcome pack out. And good timing too, because we have the giveaway. So that puts you in the running for that massive
right?
Massive giveaway. I have to value that out before I give it away. I think right now the biggest giveaway I did was that $400 and something one that had the Heroes Initiative trade paperback in it, and then the Ultimate Fallout 4, that was a dual thing. That wasn't cheap either, even splitting the cost. But I'm excited for this one more than any of the other ones.
Nice.
But yeah, great issue of Human Target. This has not failed a single issue. It seems like it keeps getting better.
No.
So I've got 2 more books left in my kind of miniature pickup from this week, and that's Dark Crisis, The Dark Army, and Detective Comics.
I read both of those. Did you read Department of Truth?
I didn't. I'd love to hear it again. I wasn't able to pick up my other stuff.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
It's the final issue of a.
I did read that. Oh, I'm surprised.
What was that?
Once Upon a Time at the End of the World.
Well, y'all tell me about some of those, because I ain't got to read them.
You're surprised I read this, Ryan?
Well, I'm surprised that you read it now. Like, I know you read, like, pretty much everything that hits shelves. Just like I know a lot of it you get, like, once a month or whatever.
Yeah,
so I was kind of surprised you read it the week that it came out.
I had forgotten to add it to my monthly, so I bought it at the shop.
I kind of figured that was, like, the one book I was going to have that you guys didn't. So, weird turn of events.
Well, I'm definitely not picking that one up. Y'all tell me about it.
Go ahead.
This is Jason Aaron, right?
Right. Yep.
So, okay, I haven't read a lot of Jason Aaron, but I've been around the internet long enough to know that, like, basically you should trust everything to turn out great. I was not impressed with this issue, though. I was like, this seems like one of those things where you have to like really be in for the creative team, because this issue really didn't deliver too much to me. Essentially, you start out in like a post-apocalyptic world, and this girl like finds this guy. Technically, the guy finds her, but like the world's destroyed, right? There's like all these like ravagers and stuff out there in the world, typical post-apocalyptic world, right? She finds this tower. Well, there's this kid inside that has basically been raised inside this tower, so he's like too smart to survive the apocalypse, essentially. Super genius, but he has like no combat skills or anything. So he saves the girl, lets her in the tower. They're like kind of, I guess, like, you know, kind of bonding because there's literally nobody else in the world to bond with. And then she leaves, and then he basically takes off after her. And then you get a fast forward to where he's being like, he's an old man, and he, you know, like middle-aged, I guess, but he's like missing limbs and stuff. And there's this crazy guy with like all these nails and stuff through his hand. And the kid, you know, is basically like, I don't know what you're doing this for, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's literally the end of the world. And then it kind of zooms out and you see like actual fireballs falling through the sky and stuff. I don't know what the hook was, though, because like the people you see in the beginning of this like are just as depraved as the guy at the end. So like there was nothing about it. Like there was no mystery to it. I wasn't like, oh, I want to know how this kid ended up missing his arms and legs, or I want to know what made this guy crazy, because he was literally not any crazier than the people we saw at the beginning of the book. Like there seemed to be no evolution other than now the world is actually ending. So I was like, I don't really know what the hook is for this series.
Yeah, I was the same way. I mean, I'm not a huge Jason Aaron fan, but I wanted to see what what this was about, and so the one thing, I'm almost at post-apocalyptic fatigue, in one
that
sense,
too.
But then at the very end, the only thing that might keep me coming back is when they're interrogating this kid. They talk about this machine called Golga Nuza, I think it's called, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
And they think that he created it, but in fact it was the girl who created it. But they're apparently looking for this machine. So I'm a little bit interested to see what this machine is, but that's a very, very small hook.
Yeah.
Coming back for another, for more issues.
Yeah, I felt like that fast forward to the end was like, hey, look, here's exactly the inevitable end that you see this coming to. And I was like, oh yeah, like no mystery there. Like,
right.
I'm not surprised he's missing limbs. I mean, did you see what was going on at the beginning?
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't really know what's supposed to hook me in for the whole series other than the creative team.
Right.
But the main reason I read it though is because, I mean, like the hype has been unreal on IG and stuff. Like people are posting those covers everywhere. Everybody was so excited for the series. Now I kind of think it was just a title cover kind of hype and not really like necessarily story hype. But
I kind of see the whole trend though of indie number ones getting hyped up, because you never know when the next Walking Dead number one is. When's the next something that children want to. People, once they get one in their hand, they love to say, "Hey, I got one in my hand."
Yeah, it's almost worth it to just buy every independent number one you can, because you never know.
Yeah.
What's going to be the next one? And almost everything gets optioned nowadays. Whether half of them or 3/4 of them don't ever get made, but almost they almost all get optioned nowadays too. It seems like.
You know which ones are getting made though, Paul?
Which ones?
Tell me. Live and the Geiger universe stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Miranda Brothers and Jeff Johns.
Boom, boom.
Is We Live going to be live action, or are they going to be like an anime?
To white horses.
I don't think we know any of that information yet.
Okay.
What is it?
I was wondering if We Live was going to be like a live action, or was going to be like an anime type thing.
I think it's animated. I
don't think they've been able to confirm either. I do hope it's animated though.
I'll ask the Miranda Brothers and hope they tell me. I can't pretend that they'll be willing to tell me, but I can't ask them.
Let me just send an email real quick. And
it wasn't someone just talking to them this weekend?
E-Man was there.
E-Man.
Yeah.
I was about to say E-Man can talk to him as well. They've been on the channel numerous times. Me and Ryan have had them on here numerous times. And Paul, you were on here for the second time, weren't you?
I don't think so. No.
Chris was. Maybe I was.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. I was for sure.
But yeah, they'll be back on the channel again for sure. Yeah, that's a series like I just feel personally invested in for some reason. Don't know why.
Yeah,
I
it
was the
was.
target audience for it, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was so different from everything else.
Just opened up the floodgates with that second volume. We called it. We talked to him going into that. I said, so obviously with how this works is like if y'all make enough sales, you get a second volume. With how well that first volume sold, you're guaranteed a third, aren't you? And they kind of gave that non-disclosure face. And then we saw how this one played out. Obviously, we're coming with volume 3. I'm desperate for Do a Powerbomb animation. I'm desperate for December 7th to get here for Do a Powerbomb number 7 to drop.
I'm kind of on the fence about that. There's something about Daniel Warren Johnson that just hits perfectly, you know, and to translate that into another medium, I just don't see it working
Maybe a
the
good
same.
movie. I'd watch the hell out of it. It'd have to be in like, and obviously from the way he draws, it'd have to be in some kind of like anime style. Think of like the early DC animated universe stuff, how they always drew it based on the artwork of the comic. Like if Michael Turner wrote that Superman Batman arc, the artwork looked like Michael Turner. All Star looked like Frank Quitely. Like if you had an artist that could come in and make it look like
Yeah,
to a good degree, you know, and then just do like
there's such a gritty rawness to it that makes the emotion stuff hit, you know, and
Yeah,
I'd
that to
watch
me
it.
seemed like that would have been a perfect. I mean, with the way if they do the animation the same way the art is in the book, it looks like an early MTV type animation type thing.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
yeah,
Yeah, like maybe like heavy metal or like the early MTV animation stuff.
Yeah.
that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what's
Real tricky there, though, still. I'm like, I don't know if it'll work.
Ryan, tell me about Department of Truth. This was the final issue of this current volume, not volume, story arc that we're on. It was supposed to be Cole Turner's reckoning or him hitting his limit or something.
Well, the final page says Department of Truth will return. So we are on hiatus as of this, which really bothers me because we've seen Tynan do this with his other series and lose a little momentum. So I don't know.
Oh, well,
A little concerned about that.
He made up for it, though.
Oh, yeah. No
You're
doubt.
referring to Nice House on the Lake, how that had a mid-season break and it lost a little bit of its steam. Took the piss out of a lot of readers, the ones that were still in on it. But my God, did it
paid off for us, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, though. I don't know how well Department of Truth is selling. So a drop in readership because of a hiatus might be enough to kill it, you know, unfortunately. Whereas like Nice House on the Lake was on DC and it was early enough in the run that there's still like a lot of readers, whereas like, you know, attrition is real.
It was a finite amount of issues too. It's 12 and done.
Yeah.
Department of Truth is ongoing.
Yeah. So yeah, anyway, but yeah, this issue, like, I mean, honestly, nothing happened really. What it did though is like it basically like turned up all the dials. Like essentially all that happens in this issue is like Cole comes home and him and Matt kind of like have it out, you know, like in a super weird, awkward way where neither of them want to reveal any of their secrets, but like they both know each other's secrets. So they're kind of like having this like really like tenuous conversation and stuff. And then you kind of like basically cut to Ruby, like, so are we going to have to kill Cole's husband? And then Hawk like walks in their house, like just like straight walks in their apartment. And that's pretty much where it ends. So, yeah, like, you know, it takes when Cole joined the Department of Truth, like his personal life got super complicated. And this basically just cranked that up to like 25, you know, like it's about to get wild. But yeah, there's not like a ton that happened in this issue other than setting up hopefully for the return, you know, like it's about to get wild when it comes back.
Do we know how long the sabbatical or the break is?
I don't know. I haven't looked into it, to be honest, and I wasn't totally aware that we were about to go on hiatus. I don't know if anyone was at this point.
That either.
But then I like the last page is like Department of Truth will return. And I was like, oh, we're doing a hiatus. And so I haven't taken the time to look it up and see.
Huh.
I do hope that there is like a set break there though. And he's not just like, oh, when I get back to it, it'll be back or something. Like, I really hope it's like a holiday break or something. And like January, February at the latest, we're getting another issue.
Yeah, that would, because I mean, to Mark's point before is you can really, especially if it's an ongoing thing. You mean if it's an ongoing, you can really, really take the momentum out of something like that by doing, if it goes on for too long. And he's just got his hands in so many different things nowadays that I mean, I can certainly understand why, but
Yeah.
y- you know,
Yeah, like I understand the guy's busy and stuff, but and like we've talked about this before, where like some of his writing is so different across all of his different works that they appeal to completely different people. So like
right,
I know for me and Mark, like Department of Truth and Nice House on the Lake are like his best works,
right.
and those are the ones that he keeps like taking all the piss out of. Whereas something is killing the children. It's like, I could care less. And that thing just doesn't seem to want to die for whatever reason. And so that's my concern is that there's, more of a minority audience over here. And so these are the things that are going to fall off rather than what everybody else is latching onto.
I think I'm a fan of like those heavy reads. I'm a big Tom King fan.
Yeah.
I love that. These like Department of Truth, you have to sit there and be in the book for a while. I love what Liam Sharp is doing in Starhenge and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like where
Well, I'm
it's
definitely the type like,
oof.
ADD is real for me, so like that's why I struggle with TV. It's like just sit here and stare at this and absorb it. I'm like, that doesn't really work for me. So like for me, I love stuff like Tom King or Department of Truth where it's solid enough. It gives me the confidence to just get lost in the story, and so my mind doesn't have to stop. It's just going the whole time, like connecting dots that aren't really there, But at the end of the day, like there's some stuff where you're like, oh no, this is just bad writing, like. Tom King, Tynan, like this is stuff where you're like, oh, I can see how good this is. I have the confidence to know that I'm supposed to be lost right now and that he's going to find me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing is like books like this don't really stick around very well for a general audience because they just want to, sorry, not sorry, they want to see somebody punch somebody else in the face. And
Right.
I'm like, I hope that happens at some point, maybe.
Or in this case, they just completely kill an innocent family for the sake of saving their truth.
Yeah.
Like there's some crazy dynamics in some of these stories that Tynan's doing. I just think that it's just like you said, different audiences. That's something that's killing the children. You can read one of those in 37 seconds and regret 50 of those seconds somehow.
You're running a deficit there.
You just regretted more than you actually took.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it was so bad it aged you 13 more seconds.
Yeah. I know a lot of people like it. I don't knock anybody. Like what you like. It's just if I want a book like that, I'm going to go pick up Wildstorm #1 from somebody Rosenbaum from a couple weeks ago, because somehow that book was fast paced. It was quick. It wasn't too loaded or anything, but damn, it was fun.
Not too low. It wasn't even loaded.
There was a lot in there. Like they had to go get the scientist, but he killed him because he experimented on. He had to kill him.
Nor do we even know what he needs a scientist for.
Bro, they just randomly drop. We can't teleport. Our teleporter is a fifth dimensional being that's a skeleton in a spacesuit that pops up at random and it left. It left. Like, yes.
It does remind me of how some people might have felt during Black Adam when the JSA showed up and they're just like, all right, we got this cool ship and like it's anti-gravity and everything else, and they were just like, what?
And they said it. Is this whole thing made of nth metal? Down to the bolts. Most indestructible. Like, hey, they said it. That's all you need. Keep pushing.
Yep.
Pushing. Did you want to touch on this week's issue of Detective Comics 1066? It's the last one that I have here in my stack. I've not had a chance to read it. I'm fine with spoilers on it. I'm definitely going to read it because of my fast-paced weekend. This is also not a book that you can rush through. You get to sit in it. You get to enjoy the character dynamics. You get to feel the tone and the emotions of what's happening. So I don't rush Rom V.
Yeah,
I won't do it.
No, I mean, it opens with like an amazing dynamic between Batman and Gordon, because he fished him out of the water and all that. And so like he kind of wakes up and he's all bandaged up, and Gordon's basically like, there's nothing wrong with your face. I bandaged it in the dark once I figured out how to take that stupid mask off because honestly, I don't want to know. And then they have a really cool conversation about whenever Gordon first came to Gotham and him and Batman met and all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of how this issue is. Like, there's not a lot of like bombastic anything that happens, but you get like this great dynamic between him and Gordon. And then you also get like this interesting part where like the Orgums are basically destroying Arkham Asylum, and Bruce Wayne goes there.
The old asylum or the tower?
Old Asylum, right? Did you read this one, Paul?
Yes, I did.
I didn't read the tower stuff, so I don't really know what happened there.
The tower is the current Arkham.
Right. Part of the old asylum was actually destroyed as part of Fear State.
That's right.
Yeah, that's where the A-Day happened.
Yeah. So essentially, they're just like tearing down Arkham and rebuilding it because now it's theirs again, you know. But there's like all this press there and stuff, like trying to find out what the Orgums are up to, who they are, all this stuff. And Bruce Wayne is there, and so like Bruce Wayne has like a interaction with what's his name, Arzen.
Yeah.
Like the younger of the family and stuff. And they just kind of basically say like, hey, you know, it's nice to see that there are rich people in Gotham that are still like taking care of the city. And that's all we want to do as well. You know, we want to help rebuild this city and make it great again, blah, blah, blah. I think the more interesting scene in this one, though, is actually with Two-Face, because he's basically taking back his role as like a crime boss. And he straight murders this dude, like right in the face. Like the guy's like, no, I didn't know you were back. Well, you know, I didn't know you were back in that way. And he's like, just give me another chance. He's like, I think there's a 50-50 chance. And like it's a great scene because you just get to see Two-Face like back in the role, like really being sinister and villainous and all that. And then you also get like you know, a little scene with the Coda guy. He fights one of the Asmers and kind of exposes that as well. So he fights like that big, like bulky guy, you know. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I sense the evil within you," and he's like, "That's my Asmer."
Yeah, and then they this is kind of also in some ways kind of becoming a little bit like I can't think of it, but with Batman Hush, where he's Ram V is going to be bringing in a lot of different villains. Victor Freeze is becomes a part of this now. So you know, again, this is going to be a huge. I picture this being at least a 12-issue, you know, arc for him. You know, and you know he brings in Victor Freeze in the first part now of Nocturne. So he definitely is going to be bringing in a lot of different villains. I can picture.
Yeah, like this issue really solidifies that we are still in an early building phase of what this whole story is and where it's headed. Because, I mean, if that didn't exemplify enough, there's a lot of moving parts here, and he's just like laying so much groundwork. It's going to be interesting to see how all of those different threads start to come together in like another 6 or 8 issues or something, you know?
Right.
Thank you, baby. Love you. Yes, tape. So that's 12 issues. Plus, we have that's old tape. It's the annual drops next week, too.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We're supposed to be doing like a flashback of some of the Orgum stuff. I think back in the 1700s, focusing on Gale, the one that we saw that can turn into what looks like he's a werewolf almost.
Yeah.
He turned into a beast of some sort.
Yeah, with those like weird like hook teeth things.
Teeth, hair, big, all that.
Yeah.
They went into that safe house for what wasn't it? The Talia's people, one of their flop houses in Gotham. He went in there and just ravagely murdered everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Wish he's back. So I'm pumped for all this stuff that he's doing. I'm
Yeah.
currently enjoying this more than the Batman stuff. I'm enjoying the fail-safe stuff. That's what Ryan was talking about, the punching in the face.
Yeah. That only leaves us with Dark Army, right?
I think so.
Dark Army, that was a blast.
It really was.
Yeah, it was an interesting read.
So, quick synopsis: it takes place on the battle that we saw at the final issue of Dark Crisis proper, issue 6 of that. The big battle's going on in front of the Hall of Justice, And Damien comes up with an idea in this that he wants to go try to do because you see that they're not getting this ultimate victory like they should be. He consults with John Kent, and John tells him he can't leave this battle. That Damien's going to have to do this on his own, take a bare bones team. And in the heat of the battle, Damien puts together a team and goes through a portal from one of the team members.
Talk about a ragtag team.
Yeah, all the way to another Earth where they find one of the Monitor's old tuning forks from the original Crisis. And they go in there trying to find a way to access it, to cut Pariah off from the darkness, from the energy of the darkness. A lot of cool stuff happens too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so then they end up doing that, and then they end up battling Justice League Incarnate as part of the issue as well, because they again Sideways takes them from there because they end up fighting at the tuning fork. They end up fighting the shadow creatures again as well, and so at the very end they end up because they find that they can't defeat the shadow creatures. They end up Sideways again takes them to the House of Orrery, or basically the Monitor's satellite. And we end up finding Harbinger is there, and she basically says, they turn her on. The Harbinger AI is there. She says, "Shut me down." They basically say it's too late. And so they come up with this brilliant plan. Well, actually, Dr. Light, who we find out has basically been positioned from the very first Crisis. She basically has the ability to become pure light herself. And so that basically is what helps them defeat
really cool.
The chains that are keeping the Justice League Incarnate trapped in as part of the Dark Army, and so that releases them then. And then at the very end, we see them. Sideways is taking them back to the battle, and we'll find out where they are, either in Warzone or in issue number 7 of Dark Crisis.
And there's a couple cool points to hit in this. Is the team that Robin puts together. It was a really stacked team. It was really fun. We had Sideways for his transportation purposes because he can open portals. We had Dr. Light for her energy purposes. We had Power Girl for her strength. Robin was the brains. But in the last minute, when they were jumping through the portal, Damien had to snatch this girl up who was about to get crushed by Girdle, one of the Flash's villains. And it's Red Canary, who we've kind of been had small little teases of. She was in one panel earlier in Dark Crisis proper. And we get to find out who she is in this. We get a little bit of a backstory. We get to see some of the way she interacts with team members. She's this little beacon of hope in this entire Dark Crisis, which is really cool. I enjoyed that character. I'm excited to see more of her as well.
Yeah. I like her little guys. I really wish you would stop saying that.
Yeah.
A lot of the dialogue in this was really good. I really enjoyed whenever Damien talks to John, and he's like, "Dude, we should take a team and go because this is going nowhere." And he's like, "No, I can't leave. I got to stay here." He's like, "You're fighting Doomsday, literally your worst nightmare." And he's like, "Yeah, I know. That's why I have to stay." I was like, "Oh man, that really just solidifies even more John Kent's spirit,
And then he says, "That's what my dad would do." Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Such a good tiny moment, but it makes John Kent that much bigger once again.
Yeah, he's earned his stripes this year majorly.
Oh yeah, yeah, and then I really like a lot of the dynamic and dialogue between Power Girl and Damien.
Oh my god,
because he's a sniveling little shit, but he usually kind of gets away with it, and she was she had no quit in her as far as dealing with him. She's just yeah, I'm gonna beat you whenever we get out of here. So I thought that was really good. I don't know anything about Dr. Light, but she was really cool in this. I thought she was kind of a standout.
Yeah, she was one of the new characters that was created in the original Crisis on Infinite Earths,
okay.
to replace the old Dr. Light. And she was a villain to start. But she's kind of seen the error of her ways. But the thing that I liked about it, and Mark and I we talked about this, is I thought it did a really good job of bringing in a lot of things from the original Crisis, but also a lot of the things that more recently, led up to this crisis, like everything through Justice League Incarnate and everything. It put all of these things back on the board to be used for what I can only imagine will be just a huge grand finale.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
was an Easter egg like extravaganza. Like bringing the Justice League Incarnate back. That's like what kicked this off. That was a prelude to this. But the tuning for it, getting the flashback of the Monitor, doing that with Dr. Light herself, having the shadow creatures in there, like
Right. Harbinger.
Harbinger. Mhm. It was really cool. And one of the cool things is we got Dr. Multiverse back, who's one of the members of
Yes.
Justice League Incarnate, who has first appeared in that lead-in story. And this was dope because one thing she does, she has these multiversal abilities. She's able to transport between the different worlds. And she can also use her multiverse vision to look at you and see all of the other versions of you on all the other worlds. And she kind of is looking at the teams that are the team that's in front of her, Power Girl, Red Canary, Sideways, and she looks at Damien and she pauses and says, and if you look, when she looks at all of them, you see all these different versions of them. When you look at Damien, there's one descending version down to the Damien standing in front of her, and she says, her trajectory is surprisingly consistent everywhere. And the version that's standing in front of her is Damian as Batman, as we see him currently in Batman versus Robin, as we saw him in that Future Vision in Batman 666 of him. So basically, Damian is meant to be Batman, where Nightwing is grown up. It's not going to be Tim Drake, and it's not going to be these other words. Damian, that's his future to be Batman.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Great moment.
Yeah, that was a really great. I'm muting this because I don't want this spoiled. Yeah, I mean that moment there. Whenever the Justice League Incarnate comes through, like my first thought was like, "Oh man, how much would it suck to get bit by Captain Carrot?" And then, poof, they delivered. I was like, "That's wild." But
he made it through though.
yeah, everybody made it through. But yeah, it was great to see them come back and get freed, and I'm excited to see what that means for Dark Crisis. Hopefully, some of this like channels back in.
Yeah, we haven't seen them since Justice League 75. So when the Justice League got killed, when Pariah wiped them out, we saw what happened to them pretty quick. That they got sent to these paradise worlds where he was using them as fuel, basically. And I assume that that's what happened to Justice League Incarnate because they went out. The Justice League got dusted, then the Incarnate was right behind them. But we found out that Pariah actually linked them up and just threw them into his reserve for the Dark Army. So that was cool to see what happened with them as well. Because I honestly probably couldn't take 8 more issues of a world without a Justice League Incarnate just to really milk an event, because they really haven't oversaturated this event at all.
No.
You had the Young Justice that wasn't even a real tie-in for some reason,
right?
And you had the Worlds Without a Justice League, and then you had the Deadly Green, which was absolutely needed reading material. And then you had this, which is solid.
Is there an epilogue to all of this? Are we going to have like extra issues after number 7?
No, I think we got like 2 more issues. We have like that All-Out War issue. What is it called, Paul?
There's 2 more specials. There's Warzone, and there's the Big Bang, and then there's Dark Crisis number 7. So there's 3 issues total to go.
Yeah, feels like pretty tight, Like I feel like I'm just about over Dark Crisis if it doesn't end soon. So 3 issues sounds about right.
And the only other thing that happened was, they let Jeremy Adams basically take the Flash part of it and do his crossover there. But it wasn't like they slapped Dark Crisis banner on everything across.
And the Flash thing was like them handling something away from all of this. They were just hopping around worlds looking for Barry Allen, which take Dark Crisis off of it is no different. They're literally using their abilities to hop worlds and find Barry Allen.
Yeah.
There's about to be a little mini event for Flash coming out, the 1 Second War. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's going to be like 3 or 4 issues or something. It's the next story arc.
Yep.
And it's going to be an entire event inside of the Flash comic, an entire story arc, I guess, is taking place in the time of 1 second.
Interesting.
Very interesting, right? Like, what if
pretty
you get knocked down and you're no longer in that moment with that battle? You're gonna have to use your powers to go back to find it. You know, there's so much you can play with that concept.
Find out more on the Bada Boom podcast.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Lazarus Planet. So that's kind of, I think that's the problem with announcing that, is that like this is still going, and I'm like into it, but I'm like, okay, we need to start wrapping this up because I'm getting too hyped for Lazarus Planet, and like these two things need to be separated, you know?
I love that image with the volcano cracking. Yeah, that's going to be fun, man. That's going to be really fun.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's just going to be like dessert for people that have been reading Mark Waid stuff lately, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Electric Blue, John Kent, Batman with the Helm of Fate on there, Martian Manhunter, Doomsday looking thing. There's going to be some fun hodgepodge characters.
Yeah.
It's just going to be fun. It's going to be cool. Yeah, I've liked John Kent for a long time. I'm a big Superboy fan, and see him getting the whole Electric Blue treatment, like that sold.
Can't deny I'm interested in this Batman Fate.
Yeah,
Oh, dude, that's crazy. Knowing what's going on with the Demon Azad, taking all the magic users, drawing their power out, and putting it all into the Helm of Fate as a catalyst to strip them and contain their magic. And then seeing that on Batman's head.
Right? Like, I mean, that's really cool, like marketing and stuff, in the sense that, like, you know, as readers, like they put out this solicit, and then the story gave us more, like kind of recontextualize that whole solicit for us, you know, like another issue or two later. It's like, this is insane. Ooh.
I haven't seen that, and I watched the Bada Boom podcast. So I'll just say, if that did happen, that would be cool. But since it didn't happen, you suck, Flo. Edit faster? I don't know. Like,
no edits, all raw.
Yeah, just put it out raw. One take. All right, well, I'm about to wrap it up. This little kid keeps getting up and up. She should be laying down. Why are you awake right now? Hey, what are you looking at? Are there ghosts over there? Oh, just those? When kids stare off, I'm like, are they looking at a ghost? What are they looking at?
Oh, he says Jeremy was on to talk 1 minute war.
Oh, the Jeremy Adams one. I thought you were talking about Lazarus Planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeremy Adams is awesome. Jeremy Adams was also on the DC Comics Dark Crisis Deep Dive.
He was. Correct.
Jeremy Adams is a great guy. Great guy.
He really is.
The comic community is blessed to have creators like Jeremy Adams that are just as big of a fan of these characters in this medium as we are. And they put every bit of that into, you see it in their work. You know what I mean? Yep. People like Jeff Johns who care about the characters that he's working on. Jeremy Adams, you know, clearly people like Rom V are just phenomenal. There's some really good ones out there.
Stewards of the characters.
Yes. You're not there to express yourself through them. You're there to find yourself in those characters and then carry them.
Yep.
Yeah, you should have Mark Waid on. And when you do, just shoot me the link. I'll come and join.
I mean, why would it mess with anybody that you have Mark Waid on? That's content we get to consume about a great creator talking about things that we like.
Yeah. I don't know if Flo knows this about me, but I don't send messages out to get people on because I don't want to talk to them. I don't know why. I don't like doing the creator thing that often. It's definitely fun when I do it. Like I got to hop on with Philip Kennedy Johnson. Like I had random someone message me like, I know you love this stuff. You want to hop on, and had a blast. But I don't know. I just don't think. I think every time I've done it, it's really hard to schedule it with how my schedule is. Like me and Paul we do these things like shotgun style. He messaged me like, "Hey, you good?" I'm like, no. And then I messaged him. He's like, "Hey, what about this weekend? How about now? I'll send you the link." Like there's no time in the days, but we get it done somehow.
Yep.
We get it done. But if you have Mark Waid on, man, I don't waste your time talking about stuff that's coming up that he can't talk about. You know what I mean? Just talk Kingdom Come for an hour. Like, why would you waste the opportunity to talk to someone about working with Alex Ross on interiors and writing what's
Right.
easily the best comic book story that I've ever read in my life? But yeah, just 1 hour of Kingdom Come. And if he'll do two, but I'd settle for an hour. You ready to go lay down? All right, we'll tell Paul and Ryan night night.
Night night.
She's like, I can't see you if you can't see. Oh, you looked. All right, guys. So that's going to be it for tonight. I appreciate everyone coming and hanging out. Thank you again to everybody watching, all the subscribers, and a big thank you to the new channel member, Dr. Von Houten. I know he has a channel, so be sure to go check him out as well if you haven't already. And that's going to be it for tonight. Is that it? Is that it? All right, guys. Until next time, as always, I'm Mark, but we are Legion.